Well, you know, the way we have this chart structure right now, if anything changes signs, it's going to kiss Pluto on the way out of the previous sign and then smack Saturn on the lips on the way into the new one. Hi, everybody. Thomas Miller on the Fun Astrology Podcast. Well, that's what happened because the sun entered Sagittarius yesterday, as we mentioned, and there was Saturn standing at the door, and at 4:46 this morning, they have a kiss. Some astrologers call it a conjunction, but around here, mwah, there you go. Hi, welcome to your new sign. And it comes just in time because in the U.S. it's Thanksgiving Day, so happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Saturn is in Pisces, as you know, and we're continuing our series over on the Old Soul, New Soul episode on that. You guys have had a lot of comments about that series. I know you're liking it, but Saturn is still in Pisces, and so Sagittarius Pisces, there's a square aspect, the sun now right there at 0 degrees. Voila. Now, I know you folks that are really working on your synthesis might be asking, does that mean that this is going to damper Sagittarius season? And I think that's a very good, valid question, especially if you're talking about mundane astrology. In other words, the collective, the corporate universe, the world, the planet, everybody else, your coworkers and your family members. Yeah, I mean, it actually could, in a way, kind of damper the effect of this Sagittarius season because for another reason that Saturn has just only recently, relatively, stationed back direct, so it still is pretty powerful. How would high timeline players look at this? Well, you have two spiritual signs, Sagittarius and Pisces. Like we said yesterday, one of the symbolisms of Sagittarius is the archer shooting the arrow high up into the sky, targeting that higher, loftier goal. Whatever that is that you'd like to bring into your life, or whatever that next notch is where you'd like to take your life up to, there's Saturn saying in Pisces, well, look at what the obstacle might be. I looked at this the other day, and that obstacle looked to me like it might be something related to distance or traveling. Well, there's Sagittarius, and also over water, which would be Pisces. That was just a personal example, but it gives you an idea of where the symbolism might be for you of that square tension. What do I have to climb over in order to hit that higher target? But the other thing it does for high timeline players is it says if you will climb the wall and if you will get over the hurdle, it will be a more permanent solution. Saturn, right? Long-lasting, foundation, even legacy. So the question really is the gain worth the pain? Squares are good aspects because just like you go to the gym, if you want to build up your biceps, you need to push more weight. You've seen people exercise, right? And they're just half-heartedly, oh, you see it all the time. They just are half-heartedly doing what they're doing. They're getting so little benefit. But you see somebody over there really working it and grinding it and like pushing themselves to the limit. That's the square. That's the tension that you ride to the greater result. That gym analogy is a great one if you're ever wanting to really stretch yourself spiritually. And in astrology, that's the squares and the oppositions. So that square, the Sun and Mars, today is early, 4:46 a.m. Eastern. Now let's peek into tomorrow because I'd like to take a hall pass, Friday off. And really the biggest thing over the weekend, I would say, are two. One happens on Friday morning early, so this is really today's energy anyway. And that is Mars, right behind the Sun, moves into Sagittarius. That happens at 5:14 tomorrow morning. Then at 3:28 tomorrow afternoon, the Moon enters Taurus. If you're following our little void of course thing that we've been playing around with, it begins at 12:40 tomorrow. So there's your gap, 12:40 to 3:28. And the last aspect is the Moon squares Pluto. Now, since we were talking about the gym and talking about stretching our muscles, if you want to say that the two malefic planets, Mars and Saturn, square each other on Saturday, that happens basically at noon Eastern Time. And, of course, that's right on the heels of what we just talked about with the Sun, because twiddle-dee and twiddle-dum, there they go. Yeah, but let's not take it too lightly, because we are talking about two very powerful influences here on your weekend, that Mars and Saturn will be in tension with each other. Now, you and I might use that to say, well, I've got a few things that I've been wanting to begin, and I've been working on them in this week's energy with all of this cool stuff going on. So I'm going to continue to ride that energy with the Mars power of new beginnings and the Saturn power of legacy and foundation and lasting. But the rest of the world might not quite see it that way. And depending on what kind of work Saturn needs to accomplish right now, that could also be a little bit challenging, as we have seen with some of its aspects to these latest current events. So separate the mundane from the highest timeline and use the highest timeline, Mars' new beginnings, and that moon that, of course, was in Aries earlier this week. And you've got a really good combination of launching some things that you might want to get off the ground. All right, Hall Pass tomorrow. I'll be back with Merriman on Saturday, Level Up Sunday night, and back with you again on Monday. So I wish you the best next couple of days ever. Happy Thanksgiving to those of you in the United States, and we will see you back on Monday.